All right, so when we last left off, we were working on the tablecloth material. So what I'm going to do is, the only thing we're really using on this is just, we have diffuse roughness all the way up, and we have color, no metalness, because just basically it's meant to be just a matte material, as you can see here, because it's cloth. So I just need to adjust the color, because obviously gray is no good. So we're going to click on this, and I want to do a checker pattern. So I'm going to click on checkers, and then you can see, let's move this over. Let's hit 6 right here. There it is. Okay. Now, that's okay, but I wish the checkers were a little bit smaller. So to fix that, what I'm going to do is have this keep snapping into that for whatever reason. Stop it. I never wanted you. Okay. See, this is why it's good to have two monitors. But unfortunately, I can't record the two at the same time. So, what we're going to do is this. So, with the checker pattern here, you can see there's the place 2D texture. So basically, this is a thing that uses the UVs to put the material onto the model. Okay, so if you select that place 2D texture, or if you're on, let's say you're back over here again. Let's say you're on the material. Click the little arrow here, just in case you can't find it, right? And then, oh, it's not on there. All right, well, you want to, if you can't find it, go to here. Then what you want to do is select the material, so tablecloth material. If you click on this, it will show you everything that's connected, that's coming into and out of the selected item. And these are all the nodes. And this is the node editor, and basically what it does is it shows you how these little strands show you how each thing is connected to each. Okay, so basically we have this checkers that's using this to tell it how to lay itself out. That's going into the base color now. That's going onto the shader itself. That's the thing that actually does the output. Okay. So, but what we can do is that you can see it doesn't have any options for any of that to increase the number. But what I can do is if you go to the 2D texture, and this works on anything, you can see right now it's repeating it 4. So just to give you an idea. Oh, it's not up there. All right, let's just go to modeling, UV editor. Okay. It's too many windows. Come on, get out of the way. Okay, there we go. Okay, so if I select the object, okay. So what it's doing is it's increasing it times 4. So basically, the default right now is just these. That's why it's 2, 2 by 2, and 2. And if you look at the thing, the material, that's what it will say. So anyway, if I increase this UV from 4 to a higher number, so I'm just going to go ahead and do 16. It's going to repeat the image that many times, and so subsequently, so you get an idea. Let me select it again. What it's going to do is it's going to make it many more times over. Okay, so I'm just going to close that out. And then you can see, voila, we have our checkers on there. Now, one of the things that I noticed, I'm just going to move this over here for a second, is that if you look, see how it's stretched out? I didn't do a great job with the UVs. So with this selected, make sure I'm in the modeling menu set, and I'm just going to go to UV editor, and with the UV toolkit, snap view in there, good. If you don't have that available, just go to tools and you'll see hide UV or show UV toolkit. That's how you get that if that's not popping up for you. And I'm just going to go to unfold and hit unfold, and that will re-unfold this theoretically. Okay, man. Or it'll make it crash. I mean, who knows? Come on. I'm going to pause it while it does it. Oh, wait, there it goes. Okay. And it will unfold it, so that's fine. Now, it doesn't matter that it's going over. Usually it does. But you got to remember, this is a repeating texture, and since it's the same going continually, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that out. And now you can see that pattern fits on there a little bit better. Great. Okay. Now, I don't really want black and white. I think it'd look better if it was red and white, just because that, I don't know, makes me think more, that makes me think of a diner or something. So, I'm going to go back to my checkers, click back on the checkers part of it, okay? And then I'm going to leave, well, actually, so I want it to be white and black, but I want it there to actually look like cloth. So to do that, I'm going to attach not just white, I'm going to click on this and attach a cloth. So now, inside of there's cloth, but if you look, you can see it's huge. So it's this pattern, but see how it's like a lot? It's like very, very large, just like the other one was large. So what I got to do is the same thing. So here's my cloth. I'm going to go to its Place 2D texture, and I'm just going to up my gain to, I don't know, let's try 420 by 420. I don't know why I chose that number, but, and let's just zoom in and see if that's a good, okay, let's zoom back out. So that looks acceptable. So we'll say 420 by 420 for that Place UV 2D thing. So it's going to repeat it 420 by 420, which will be a little better. I'm going to go back to my cloth, and I'm just going to adjust some of these things here just because that gap color is black, and I think it's a bit too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and just drag this up so it's just like more of a darker gray, we'll say. And I'm going to take my V color and click on that. Oops, click on it. And I'm just going to give it a little bit more color and make it a little bit lighter, just so it's like kind of a cream and a white. It's not going to make a huge bit of difference, but I just don't want it to be so dark in there. That way it's a little bit closer to white. Okay, so that looks acceptable. You can see, right? It looks a little bit more like cloth there. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. So I'm going to click back on the checkers again. And you can see color 2. I don't want it to be black. I'm going to click on this. And again, I'm going to choose cloth. Boop. Alright, helps if you make the boop noise. And I'm going to go to the Place 2D texture. And I'm going to go ahead and just do 420 by 420 again. Alright, so it's the same number, which is fantabulous. I'm going to go to my cloth here. And I'm just going to change the colors here. So this time, though, I want it to be red. So my U color, I'm going to click on that. And I'm just going to do kind of a bright red. That's fine. My V color, I'm going to do bright red again, but I'm going to do it a little bit off. There we go. Just so there's a little bit of variation. So they're not exactly the same. And then my gap color, I'm going to click on that. And I'm just going to make it like kind of a darker grayer, just because I don't want it to be pure black in between. I think it's just too much. So a little bit of a darker color, so you could tell that it's, you know, that's where the gaps are, but it's not like nuts. Okay, so now that looks like cloth. All right, so so there's some so obviously we did a texture inside of a texture inside of a texture, but the advantage of using procedural stuff, so I could have used an image. And an image would have worked and would have been fine. And in some ways, it'd be better. It'd be more realistic looking because this is too perfect. But because it's a procedural texture, it's being created by math. When I zoom into this, for one, it'll render much quicker because it doesn't have to load in an image. So there's a benefit there. But also, it's the resolution is infinite. You know what I mean? It's like a vector. So no matter what, it'll always it won't lose that resolution, so it actually looks good from close up or from far away. It doesn't matter. It's resolution independent. So, and I also don't have to grab an image. It's not linked into it, so it just makes it a little bit, you know, a little bit easier, kind of in the long run. I always try to use any procedurals that I can, if I can throw that in there as like a freebie, as opposed to having to grab stuff in. So you might want to adjust. Now I'm looking at this, and the thread count looks a little bit too thick, so I might have, you know, adjusted that, but we're going to say whatever for now. I don't care. All right. So, that's good. So now let's go to some of the stuff here, and let's do just some easier ones. So let's do this cup, right? So I'm going to go over here, and actually let's do it this way. So just to show you another way. So if I click on the cup, and if I right click on the cup, and I go to assign new material, so right click, drag down, assign new material, go to Arnold Shader, and again, the standard surface, ba-doom. I don't even have to open up that hypershade. I can do it all over here instead of having to go back and forth. Let's go ahead and rename this cup underscore MAT, cup material, and I'm just going to click on my presets, and we want to do ceramic. Ceramic makes a lot of sense, right? And we'll replace. Boom, that's already set up for the correct thing. And then I'm just going to take my color, and I'm just going to give it, a little bit more of like a cream color. I think that would look a little bit better. Now, and you can adjust some of these other things if you want as well. Now you might want to run into a problem here with this. So you might be like, oh, I'm trying to just do this one object. I don't want to see everything else. There's two things we can do. We could do this. I could grab this guy here, this little crop tool, and now it'll only render what's inside of that. So if I make any adjustments or do anything, only this is going to be rendered every time. It doesn't try to do the whole frame. So that's particularly good if you have like a really big scene and lots of things, but you want to see a couple of objects or something. That's one way of doing it. That's fine. You can do that. The other way of doing it is this. And actually, you have this selected, and if you click on this guy, that's like isolate. It will only show that one object. It's actually kind of annoying because I've accidentally like clicked on nothing, or you click on a light and then all of a sudden you're like, it's black. Why is it black? And then you realize it's because this stupid thing's on. So you can click on objects and it will only render out those objects. However, notice what it looks like here, right? Versus what it looks like if I were to do it this way. Because it's only rendering that single object, it's not rendering any of the interactions with any of the other objects. So you're not actually seeing it, what it's going to look like. So on one hand, that makes it much faster to render than doing the square thing, but on the other hand, it actually makes it way less accurate. So I would suggest doing the square thing, but if you are just trying to throw on materials real quick and you're not too concerned about the other parts of it, because obviously everything's interacting with everything, then, you know, you can go ahead and like do the isolate thing. Just be aware, like if something's not showing up, make sure this isn't on there. So I'm just going to turn that back off. I'm going to call that good as far as, that is concerned. Let's go ahead and do maybe this knife. So I'm just going to click on the knife blade, hit Q so I don't have the manipulator, assign new material. And again, we're just going to go ahead and do Arnold, and we're going to do standard surface. Come on. Come on. And cool. There we go. Standard surface. Great. Come on. So, and we'll call this one knife blade underscore MAT. And again, we're going to go to presets. And I think there's one called brushed metal, which is what I got. So I'm going to hit replace. And boom, now we have brushed metal right there. And I could make some adjustments to, so right now, it looks like the metal's being brushed this way. If I take this rotation, I can adjust the way that it's being rotated. So let's zoom in. And in this case, actually, I am going to do the isolate thing because I don't really need, well, maybe I do need those other things because I can't see the reflections. So I'm going to take the rotation, and I'm just going to see if I can get it to rotate in the correct, that the striations are going in the right direction, although I can't really see it that well. Maybe I can just do a little nublet here. Stupid thing. Okay. And let's see. That's looking like that. I don't know if that's making a whole bunch of difference. Yeah, not even noticing it. So I'm just going to leave it alone. It's fine. Freaking dog. Okay. Yeah, we'll call that good. Whatever. So we'll call that the blade, if you will. Back this thing up. So let's just do the same thing again for the handle. So I'm just going to right click on the handle, assign new material. Again, Arnold shader. You kind of see it's going to be a lot of the same thing every time. And again, I'm just going to use presets. And I'm just going to go ahead and use plastic and replace. Now, let me show you this. So if I go to color, and I want to do like a really dark brown, you'll see, oh, it's still showing up blue. That's weird. I didn't want it to be blue. The reason why is that, again, the specular is fine. The reason why is that if you go, not the transmission, subsurface, the subsurface is blue. So you got to change that color as well. Basically, that is overriding the other. So I'm just going to make that kind of a lighter brown. So now that lighter brown is subsurface scattering underneath it. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this bottle. So I was picturing this being one of those like green bottles. So I'm going to click on this guy, and I did not name that either. See, tisk tisk, I say. Knife handle underscore MAT. All right. So we're going to select this and right click, assign new material. Again, Arnold shader, standard surface. and go to presets, and then you'll see one that's glass. Good, replace. Boom. By default, it's going to be clear glass, which doesn't really quite work for me. So I'm just going to go to my color, and I'm just going to do, oops, try again. Do a really deep kind of green here. And for the specular, let me see. Transmission, sorry. That actually, I did not want to be that. Let's see if I can undo that. I was thinking it was color, but I didn't want color. And cool. So let's just go ahead and make that back to white. All right. I meant the transmission color. You'll notice that color actually is not an option because there is no color. So the transmission color is going to become the color that you want. So I'm going to click on that. And there you go. Now, you're going to notice that it is pretty dark. That's because basically if you go towards the black here, it'll make it opaque. And if I go to the white, it will make it not. So you kind of control it that way. So if you actually want it lighter, or okay, let's. It's a little too much. Bring that back a notch. There we go. Okay. So that's good. Now, one of the weird issues that this has is that it might not understand the transparency of this actually all that well. There's a weird thing. It might be fine on yours. It kind of depends. Let's see. Can you see the shadow? Let's see if the shadow is. See, there's not really any shadows of it. But it won't render the shadows correctly, amongst other things. So what you actually have to do is go to the object itself. So just select the object again. Make sure I actually name this, what is this? Bottle _ MET first. So select the bottle and then go to its shape node. So you'll notice you have the transform node, the shape node, and the material here. And then you'll see one that says Arnold. Make sure that you go underneath that tab, and then you want to make it not opaque. The results are going to be kind of not obvious right now, but it'll be more obvious depending, maybe later on, what other things that you're doing. So if you look, you see how the shadow here is now green? Before that was black. It will render it more accurately if you make sure you turn this off if you have a transparent item. It's just a weird little niche thing that, and there's a bunch of those in a bunch of these, so just be aware of that. Okay, so that was an odd thing. So let's select this and this, and we're going to right-click, assign new material. It's going to try and bang these out as quick as possible. Arnold shader, standard, and then we're going to kind of call this, I don't know, pot. Cool. Let's try it again. Pot _ MET. And again, presets, and you'll see one for Chrome. Chrome, replace. But to me, that's a little bit too shiny. I wish I had a little bit more color, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to presets. And I'm going to add a little bit of copper to it, just to give a little something, a little 25% copper. Gives it a little bit more of like a tinny look. I thought the chrome was just a little too shiny. Now I could actually try to up some of these other elements. Maybe take this metalness down a little bit. Like if I feel like it's too metally. And up my roughness here as well if I feel like it's just too shiny. But you can play around those numbers, maybe look it up and see if there's something that's a little more accurate. But I'm going to take those down just a little bit and up a little bit just to, or actually I guess both down a little bit just so it's not quite so pristine-y shiny, right? So it's a little bit more of a diffuse on it. All right, let's go and do the wood block. I didn't do that one yet either, so I'm going to click on that, right click, assign a new material, again, shader, standard surface, and we'll rename this one wood block _ MET, and again, it's kind of weird there's not a wood one, you think there would be, so I'm just going to go ahead and do, let's say, rubber. That's pretty close. And I'm just going to go to my color and try to make a woodish looking color. That looks terrible. Actually I'm going to click on this and let's go ahead and use one of the procedural textures. Now here's the thing, you can't use the 3D procedural textures from what I've seen. They don't seem to work, so you can't use the wood one. It just won't show up. You can only use a 2D one. So I'm just going to click on 2D, and then I'm just going to go ahead and use mountain. Why not? Sounds fun. So let's do mountain. Probably getting a wood texture would have been better, but Okay, so for my snow color on this, I'm just going to go ahead and do more of a tan. Like that, make it darker. Okay. And then, let's see, amplitude. Let's see if we can, so I would just play around with these and see what gives you the best results as far as that's concerned. I'm just going to call that good for now. I don't know what that's going to look like, but it's fine. But I would play around with a bunch of those. Maybe try different material. Maybe try to throw an actual image onto it. So with the next ones here, I'm just going to go ahead and actually apply materials onto these. Okay, so actually first I'm going to do these two stems just to get these out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and assign new material. And again, shader, standard, and we'll just call this stem underscore mat, and presets, we'll just do plastic to start with. Plastic is a pretty good replace. My subsurface, I'm just going to take the weight down to 0, so I'm not dealing with that. And the color, I'm just going to do like a really dark brown, and that's probably good enough. No one's going to see it anyway. All right, so let's go ahead and do these actual things here. So you're going to want to find some textures. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'll start with the apple. So I'm going to right click. Come on, assign new material. Again, shader and subsurface. Okay, go here. We're going to name it apple. Apple underscore mat. And one of the things I did is I already found pictures for apple texture, orange texture, and pear texture, and I just made sure they were seamless. So if you want to look some up or make some, that's what I'm going to use. I already put these in my source images folder of my still life Maya scene. Okay, so let's go to presets, and let's go ahead again, and we'll just use plastic, and then let's add a touch of rubber to it as well, because I feel like maybe that would. Skin actually might be good. Let's add 25% skin, and then let's add rubber. Let's add 25% rubber and see what that gives us. And let's go to my color, and so color, I'm just going to go ahead and attach that file here. That was base, right? Okay. And hit the folder. And make sure if your Maya projects folder set up and everything's correct, it should go right to the right thing. And we will apply it. And let's see. Why are you not? Let's see. Oh, there it goes. Okay, all right. I'm not sure what happened there. All right. So you might notice that it doesn't look great, and that's because if you look, our subsurface color is like a blue, which is weird. So let's click on that and make it more of like a warm apple color, we'll say. So that is acceptable. I mean, I could play around with these numbers and stuff more. I'm gonna let you do that, but I don't want the video to be 1,000,000 years long. So let's go ahead and do the pear. And for the pear, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy and paste this thing's texture instead of having to make it all again. So I'm going to select the apple and just hit Control D to duplicate it. And I'm going to rename this one Le Pear. Pear, make sure I take out the 1. And then with the color, I'm just going to go ahead and click on that and attach the file. Should pop up. There it goes. Boom. And I'm going to attach my pear. Pear texture. Great. Okay. And it's probably still, oh, I didn't even apply it yet. So where's the pear? Pear. There. I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply it to my pear. And that didn't do anything. Let's try that again. Come on. All right, let's do it this way. Right click, assign material. There it goes. Okay. And I think that orange is kind of cutting through again, so I might need to go down to the subsurface and oh, that's default. Where's the pear? Come here, pear. subsurface, and I might need to change this color a little bit so it's a little more pear-like. So let's bring it more towards the orange here. That's a little bit better. Okay, so I'll call that pear. I'm going to go ahead and we'll just duplicate this again. And this one will be the orange. La orange. Orange material. Bueno. Let's go ahead and on this, I guess we'll just, I don't know, go that color. And then for the base color, go File. I'm just going to select that orange. Come on, pop up. There we go. Boop. And my orange texture. Great. Boom. Okay. And let's go ahead and just apply that to this. Where are you, orange? There we go. Boom. Okay, so now the orange is on there. But one of the problems with oranges is that these are smooth, but obviously oranges are not. So I need to add more or less a bump onto it. So I'm going to select the orange. I'm going to hit the thing here. So if you select the orange and then click on the input-output of it, you'll see the shader will show up here. You can also get to it if you go to the, with the orange selected, you go, one of the tabs will be that orange shader, and you'll see Displacement Material. I can click on this and go File, and I'm just going to select the same file as I had before. So first we'll do this first. I'm going to hit the little arrow, so I go to the folder, and then hit the thing here, and then I'll choose orange, open. Now the problem with that, and you're going to see it over here, is it's going to be way too much. It's going to be super duper bumpy. Okay, so no bueno on that. So I need to basically go to my displacement again, select this. I'm sorry, select the orange material, and then hit, let me see, displacement. There it goes. I don't know why it wasn't popping up. Displacement. You see where it says scale 1? Just do like 0.1. That might be enough, because otherwise it's going to be way too... See how it was like way out here? Now it's like much smaller. That's just going to affect how much it's displacing it up and down. So now the bumpies won't be like so crazy. I'm going to close that out. All right, let's back this thing up. And I think I'm pretty good. There you go. I don't know why. It seems to get stuck sometimes. Failed to get transformation matrix. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, and now we have our scene. So you should be good as far as this is concerned. Hopefully you got a little bit of an idea of how just to apply materials. You see, it's pretty easy. You just use the presets mostly and adjust some settings. What we're going to do in the next video, which will be like next week, is go a little bit farther. We'll probably go right into making like a more advanced texture and stuff. But this is good for like setting up a room, right? You can quickly just kind of throw these materials on there, maybe throw like some procedural or seamless textures and slap them on in there, and then you are good. So what I'm going to want you to do after this point, and you're happy, I would make some adjustments to the lighting and stuff. Like this is pretty generic looking lighting. You know, do whatever you want just so it looks nice, and you can even do your own still life if you want to take something away or add stuff into this. I don't really care, but you know, maybe you have like a little character or something you throw in there. It doesn't make a difference to me. Put that in there. But once you're done with that, what I want you to do basically is, let's pull this guy out and close this out so we're not dealing with that anymore. You're just going to want to render it out. So go to your render settings. You can keep it on perspective. Just go ahead and render me out like an HD 1080p version. That would be fine. So just change it to 1080p. The rest of it I don't really care about. You'll just hit the render. It's going to take a really long time because Arnold's really slow. But when it's done, you'll just right click. I'm going to hit escape. But you'll right click, file, save the image, and then you can save that image and you can email it to me. I might have you email me the whole project too, but save an image and then you'll be good to go. All right, and then hopefully you are able to get it from that. So then we'll just save this. Oh, I did not save it the whole time. We'll call it end 2. Boom. All right, so that was as quick as I go through it. So good luck. Godspeed.